Hi, my name is Jenna, and this is Genergy Bites. Today I have an assistant with me, my son, who does not want me to cook alone today. So he will be with me in the carrier. So today I'm going to make some squares of egg, kind of like a baked omelet type concept with bacon, cheddar, and I'm adding quinoa to it as well for something a little bit different. And I'm gonna get started. So I have bacon and cheddar cheese. The bacon is like a pre-cooked bacon, which is really nice to have as a shortcut ingredient. I'm using regular bacon this time, but I typically use turkey bacon, which you can also buy pre-cooked. So it's just in these packets that says peel to open, but I think I need scissors. So I just try to use like what I already have on hand. So I just happen to have 2 of these packets of bacon. So it's not an exact amount that I can give you other than to say, kind of eyeball it and use what you have on hand. So in this particular case, it was 2 of these individual packets that I'm now going to very carefully try to cut without cutting my son. See if I can get, I'm new at this, but I'm gonna see if I can get the video to show the cutting of the bacon. And there's no real right way to do it, I suppose. I like to use these big knives. I find them to cut most efficiently. So I probably want a little bit of a smaller chop than that. Okay, and typically I would probably cut this smaller, but I'm kind of in a hurry today, so I'm gonna call that good enough. And I'm just gonna move that off to the side because next I'm gonna cut the cheddar cheese, which this was like the pre-sliced kind of cheese that you can buy for snacking. And I'm just using the leftovers of what we didn't end up snacking on. And I'm just gonna cut these into smaller pieces. And, you know, I'm just holding my son's arms back and being very mindful, of course, that he doesn't get hurt because he's at this age where he wants to grab everything. You're all right. You're okay. It's okay. And again, I'm kind of eyeballing the amounts here. Ideally, this would be done without the interference of a baby. You're all right. So again, the cheese this is pretty good in terms of the size of the cheese. I would probably do it a little bit nicer if I didn't have the baby. But I'm gonna pause here and come back with the next steps. So next I'm gonna start cracking some eggs. Just use a cup because the bowl that I have here doesn't have a very hard, it's kind of like a rounded edge. So it's harder to crack eggs in the bowl, but I'll use this cup to help me out. There's 1, 2, 3. So I'm continuing on here, and I did crack a dozen eggs. in this bowl, mixing bowl. And I have this whisk that I love using when I make egg dishes. It has like a ball inside of the whisk, and it really is good to get eggs like broken up. So I kind of just like try to start by smashing into those yolks. It can be hard to, like, sometimes the eggs stay separated, which is not good. And I whisk it, and I use almond milk instead of milk in pretty much everything. So I'm gonna add a little bit of almond milk, and that further helps the eggs mix. I would say that was maybe like 1/4 cup, but I didn't do an exact measurement. And now you can see that the eggs are like mixing up really good now. Okay. And I'm gonna do some salt and pepper. This is also a convenient salt and pepper shaker. Just one device with one component of salt and one of pepper. And just whisk it some more. Oops. And then I add my bacon and cheese into this mixture. And as I mentioned, I was going to add quinoa as well. So I have this quinoa that comes pre-cooked. There's other brands of it as well. And you just open it up. There's that quinoa in there. I'm going to start with one packet in here and see how that looks. And I'm just going to use a regular spoon at this point to mix it once I've added the solid ingredients in. Okay, so I ended up putting in a second package of quinoa, and then I took out this other whisk because the wire one, originally you don't want to use it once you put in solids because everything just gets caught up. But the quinoa was like a little chunky from that brand of pre-cooked quinoa. So I'm just trying to like break it up a little bit, but I'm not too concerned if it's a tiny bit chunky. So that's the mixture. All right, now I'm going to start putting it in the pans, and I have the oven preheated to 350. So I like to use disposable pans, and a lot of times I just use the cake pans. I find that's kind of like happens to be a universal size, even though I don't really make cake. I use it for everything else, but Pam is trusty, so I'm spray this cake pan, and I'm going to be just pouring my mixture into the pan. All right, and that ended up being exactly 1 pan's worth. It's going to rise a little bit, I suspect, but that'll be all right. So now I'm just going to put it in that oven, which is ready to go now at 350. Okay, so I actually bumped it up to 400 because it was taking too long on 350. And it was probably at 400 for maybe a half an hour. But ovens are so different. I would just put it in at 400 and check it at 15 minutes, and then every probably 5 minutes after that. And then to tell that it's done, I go more, not by the time, but how the dish looks. So I'm kind of making it less pretty by doing this, but digging in and just seeing that it's still a little wet because I don't want dry eggs, but it's no longer like nothing is running in there. And another tip is that I actually put the cake pan on a solid pan, and the solid pan doesn't have to be washed. It just makes it sturdier and easier to like pull in and out of the oven. So that's it. I will be cutting this into squares, and that will be a breakfast. Thanks for watching.